Rain lashed the diner windows. Thunder rattled the glass. Inside, Sarah sat hunched over her coffee, a lone figure in the flickering neon glow. She was bone-tired, her journey endless. The diner, with its greasy spoon charm, promised a brief respite from the storm. Her phone buzzed, a discordant note in the diner's quiet hum. An unknown number. Curiosity warred with caution. She shouldn't answer. Not now, not here. But something drew her in, a morbid fascination. "Sarah? Hello?" Her voice was barely a whisper. The voice on the other end was a low growl, distorted, unrecognizable. Unknown. Caller. "He's watching you, Sarah. He likes what he sees." A chill shot down her spine. She spun around, searching the diner's dimly lit corners. A truck driver hunched over his meal, a young couple lost in their own world, an old man, his face obscured by a newspaper. Which one? The voice continued, a menacing whisper in her ear. "Unknown caller. He's closer than you think. He knows your every move." Fear coiled in her stomach, cold and tight. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat. Sarah hung up, her hand trembling. The diner, once a haven, now felt like a cage. She scanned the room again, suspicion coloring her gaze. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat, every face a potential enemy. The bell above the door chimed, signaling a new arrival. A man, tall and imposing, stepped inside, shaking the rain from his coat. His eyes, dark and intense, swept the room, settling on Sarah. A shiver ran down her spine. It was him, the man from the phone call. She could feel his gaze burning into her, a tangible weight on her skin. His face was a mask of indifference, but she saw the glint of something predatory in his eyes. He moved with a practiced ease, sliding into the booth across from her. The diner felt smaller, the air thick with unspoken menace. Mysterious man. "Mind if I join you?" His voice was a low rumble, a discordant note in the diner's quiet hum. He didn't wait for an answer, his presence demanding compliance. Sarah sat frozen, trapped between fear and the need to appear calm. He leaned in, his gaze unwavering. "Mysterious man. You shouldn't be here, Sarah." His words were a threat veiled as a warning. He knew her name. He knew where to find her. The realization struck her with the force of a physical blow. Her mind raced, searching for an escape. The diner, her only refuge, had become a hunting ground. She was the prey, and he, the predator, was closing in. Sarah's voice trembled, betraying her fear. She needed to stall, to buy time. The diner's usual bustle felt miles away, replaced by a suffocating silence. Only the storm raged on, mirroring the turmoil within her. He chuckled, a humorless sound that sent chills down her spine. "Mysterious man, don't you recognize me, Sarah? We've met before." His words were a taunt, a twisted game he was playing, but she'd never seen this man before in her life. A shadow fell over their table. The waitress, a woman hardened by years of late nights and weary travelers, stood with a pot of coffee. Her gaze flickered between them, sensing the tension. "Waitress, can I get you anything else, hun?" Sarah clung to the waitress's presence, a fragile lifeline in a sea of uncertainty. "Sarah, just the check, please." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it was enough. The man across from her didn't move, his gaze never leaving her face. But there was a shift in his demeanor, a subtle tightening of his jaw. The waitress hesitated, sensing the unspoken threat, then hurried away.
The diner door swung open, a gust of wind and rain whipping inside. 2 police officers, their faces grim, entered, their eyes scanning the room.
Relief flooded Sarah, washing away the fear, if only for a moment. They approached her table, their movements measured and cautious.
"Mom, is everything all right here?"
One of the officers asked, his hand hovering near his holster. Sarah didn't hesitate. She pointed at the man across from her, her voice shaking with residual fear.
"That man, he's been threatening me. He knows my name. He knows where I'm going."
The officers moved with practiced efficiency, flanking the man. He didn't resist, but a slow smile spread across his face, chilling her to the bone. They questioned him, their voices low and dangerous, but he remained nonchalant. denying everything.
I don't know this woman, he said, gesturing towards Sarah. Just trying to enjoy my coffee.
His act was convincing, his tone casual, but Sarah could see the lie in his eyes. The police were unconvinced. They searched him, finding nothing but a wallet and a set of keys. He watched them with an unnerving calmness, his smile never faltering. Frustration flickered across the officers' faces. They had nothing concrete, no evidence to hold him.
Look, ma'am, one of the officers said, turning back to Sarah, we can't hold him without any proof, but we can escort you to your car. Make sure you get out of here safely.
Relief warred with a lingering unease. She was safe for now. But the man's words, his unwavering gaze, continued to haunt her. He had targeted her, and the thought sent a shiver down her spine. As the officers led her out of the diner, she glanced back.
The man sat in the same spot, his eyes fixed on her. He raised his cup in a mock salute, a triumphant smirk playing on his lips. And then he mouthed two words, clearly visible despite the distance, wrong number.
The blood drained from her face. He was right. She had given her number to the waitress, a momentary lapse in judgment. The wrong number. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. The man wasn't the stalker. He was a messenger. The storm raged on outside, mirroring the chaos in her mind. The police car pulled away from the diner, leaving her exposed, vulnerable. She was alone, more alone than she'd ever been. The drive to the motel was a blur. Fear gnawed at her, fueled by the man's chilling words and the unknown danger lurking in the shadows. Every car that passed seemed to hold a potential threat, every shadow a hiding place for her stalker. She fumbled for her phone, dialing the number from earlier. It went straight to voicemail.
You're playing a dangerous game, Sarah, and the stakes just got higher.
The phone slipped from her grasp, clattering to the floor of the car. Desperation clawed at her throat, choking her. She was trapped in a nightmare, a web of fear spun by an unseen enemy, and she had no idea how to escape. The motel room offered little comfort. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the window pane sent her heart racing. Sleep was impossible. Exhaustion battled with the overwhelming need to stay alert, to be ready for anything. The hours dragged by, each one an eternity. She tried calling the police again, but they dismissed her concerns, attributing them to stress and the storm. They promised to investigate further, but their words rang hollow. She was on her own. As dawn approached, painting the sky in hues of gray and purple, a strange sense of calm washed over her. The storm had passed, leaving behind a trail of destruction and an unsettling quiet. But the threat remained, lurking just beneath the surface. She had to find out who was behind this, had to understand why she was being targeted. The fear was still there, but it was overshadowed by a steely resolve. She wouldn't be a victim. She would fight back. The diner, now bathed in the soft light of morning, seemed almost ordinary. Gone was the eerie glow, the sense of impending danger. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that every move was being scrutinized. She sat at the same table, nursing a cup of coffee, her eyes constantly scanning the street outside.
You okay, hon? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Sarah hesitated, then decided to confide in the woman. She told her about the phone call, the man in the diner, the chilling message. The waitress listened intently, her brow furrowed in concern.
Honey, I don't know what to tell you. That's creepy as all get out. But you can't stay here forever. You gotta keep moving, outrun this thing.
Her words struck a chord within Sarah. Running, escaping, it was all she could think about. But where could she go? Who could she trust? As she left the diner, a sense of foreboding washed over her. The man's words echoed in her mind. Wrong number. He was a messenger, a pawn in a twisted game orchestrated by someone else. But who? And what did they want from her? She glanced back at the diner one last time, a shiver running down her spine. In the window, she thought she saw a figure watching her, a shadowy silhouette partially obscured by the curtains. But when she blinked, it was gone. Sarah hurried towards her car, her heart pounding in her chest. The fear was a living, breathing thing now, urging her to run, to disappear. She fumbled with her keys, her hands shaking uncontrollably. As she started the engine, her phone buzzed. The unknown number. Her breath hitched in her throat. Should she answer? Could she afford not to? The call went straight to voicemail.
There's nowhere to run, Sarah. I'm always one step ahead.
The line went dead, leaving her alone with the echoing silence and the chilling certainty that this was far from over. The unseen stalker was still out there, watching, waiting, and Sarah was the prey.